对，然后今天我们的这个 panel 呢，我们会用英文来 conduct。然后我们第一个嘉宾是 Mario Ho 是 Chairman of NIP Group。然后另外一个参与我们的 panel 的 panelist 是 David Lee，是co-founder of Next。对，那两位都是非常veteran 的 player。So yeah, so this panel will be conducted in English, for the convenience of our conversations. But then to kick things off, what is it? David has a very special gift, kind of to present to us, to show us a glimpse into what the future of gaming looks like, and it's this little thingy right here. Can you give us a bit of introduction?
Sure. So this is called Next Playground. It's an active play system for kids and families. So we see that as our next evolution of the Wii and Kinect, but it doesn't require holding any sensor in your hand, wearing any headsets, or having a complicated set camera system. We use camera and an AI chip to track motion and bring gaming to a much broader audience. Because the most natural way to play games is actually using your body. And with that, we actually can have kids like 3 years old playing with his great-grandmother, 90 years old, and really full expand like the gaming audience to the younger kids and to the even the grandparents.
Wow. Because like what impresses me is sort of the compact body that it comes with, right? Like it has a. I was asking him, in the back was, is that a camera or a projector? But then it turns out it's a camera that sees everything, and then you'll be able to kind of project, kind of be able to process what you think and how you interact with it. But yeah, so just in general, what are some of the trends with sort of these kind of AI empowered, enabled gaming devices? Maybe we start with David and then we'll go back to Mario on it.
Sure. So what we have here is our camera connect to a wide-angle lens. The wide-angle lens actually see like all the living room. So basically, this is what we call it, like what next in living room after OTT and 4K. So having a simple camera connecting to a chip which is able to process video 30 frames a second to track motion and unlock a new realm of possibilities. There's like one camera tracking multiple people at the same time and unlock multiplayer family fun games without like you using like multiple controllers. So when we think about what AI can unlock, we always think about what's a game? A game is like you have some input and there's some output. And AI can actually help with both. With the AI understanding now, okay, how you move, your face, your feelings, how you speak, and they actually create a lot more input than what our game controllers or keyboard and mouse can give you. So we just now we can fully expand the spectrum of the input to the games. And on the output side, and we will think about generative AI, what generative AI can do to basically create an even more immersive experiences at a much cheaper cost. So this is kind of how I think about what AI can do in the gaming.
Right.
Well, I think AI is totally going to revolutionize gaming, right, in a few senses. Firstly, in terms of the production of games, if you think about how high the barrier of entry it was to actually create one of these world-class games in terms of the 3D models that you need to do, the animation, the production of designs. Now with AI, actually the barrier of entry is going to be lower. So if you have a great game idea, code generation, even at its simplicity, is going to be more accessible to people with ideas for good games. And then aside from production, you can think about the user experience, right? Now, of course, these kind of really cool AI-powered hardware is really going to change the landscape of games. We see things like this. We see this year the launch of the Vision Pro. I am super excited to see what kind of VR, AR, MR leaks or games that are actually going to be created because of these new hardwares. So I think I saw a piece of news recently that I think the IP Yu-Gi-Oh! Is making a VR game where they're going to entirely emulate what the anime was like. So you can actually put on your glasses and put on the card and you will see the monster appear in front of you. So I think user experience is also going to be very different. And then on the side, fairness, the sort of mechanisms of how games are designed. I'm sure everybody has been frustrated before when you're playing a mobile game and you're matched with bots or you're matched with cheaters or you're matched with ridiculously good players that are completely out of your league. So when AI algorithms are going to be better integrated into the games, what you're going to see is a much better user experience all around. So I think it's really going to change the whole industry.
Yeah, because like this year we got a lot of these kind of AI gadgets, right? The Rabbit R8, people have like different opinions about it. The Humane Pin, people have like different opinions about it too. And then like the in the Her movie when they do the little gameplay experience, that was also kind of like very interesting. So I guess because Mario touched on sort of the interactive mechanism by which we interact with games, right? So what are some of the most exciting, possibilities that you think an AI games can unlock insofar as how we talk to them, how we interact with, how we play with them?
Well, some of the exciting trends. Well, I think one thing that really excites me is the sort of complexity of the characters and NPCs that you're going to find in games now. So, of course, previously, when we used to game, you're walking around on a map, you're unlocking new missions, you're interacting with NPCs that probably just repeat a single line to you, because that is all the code there is to it. But now, with AI-generated NPCs, every single character that you run into in a single game is going to be so lively and could take you into a completely different path. So I really think that the complexity of games are really going to increase. But in terms of the hard work that is going to be needed for game producers to actually create this complexity won't actually be that hard. So I think that is one trend that's very exciting. And another trend is really how the digital world gets into the offline world. So what you see nowadays is that events like these, technology focus, is just getting more and more popular. In my field in esports, what you see now, you have home court games across the whole country. It's overtaken as probably the most viewed sport in our nation. And this is essentially digital sports. So despite the fact that you're not sitting in an arena and you're actually still looking at a screen together with everybody, the atmosphere, the offline experience, the merchandise, the stages, the production, the lighting, the broadcasting, it mimics what a real-life sports game is. And these kind of successful leagues like League of Legends, KPL, will prolong the lifeline of a certain IP of a game. So excited for what's to come.
Cool. Yeah. What about David? So.
Yep. So what Mario said is like really great for like especially for the core gamer audience. And I cannot, I was a core gamer before I became a father, and start dropping off from actually playing I used to play StarCraft 2 10, 12 years ago. Spent quite some time, a good amount of time there. And when I became a dad, then I started to care about how to create experiences for my daughters when they grow up, how to create game experiences that is positive to their life, teach them something, like being a companion of their growth, challenge them, and as they grow, and also want to figure out how I can bring my mom and my daughter closer as well. So I have a 70 years old mom. Want to create experiences so that my 7 years old can play with my 70 years old. So a little more my spin of what AI can do is really kind of how we can create experiences that really the younger audience, the younger players, and the more elderly can also play the games. And when we think about designing games for them, you need to really simplify the input. So the input that's so natural that, I just walk up to the screen, I just put my hand like this, and I'm already shooting a basketball. And just kind of get them immersed into it and basically lower the entry barrier for games so that the games or benefits of games can apply to more people. So I think that's how I, my little bit more unique approach, or a little more contrarian approach of using AI to basically expand the gaming audience to cover the young audience and also older audience as well.
Right. Yeah. So these are very exciting thoughts, and because when I got the list of this panel, the list of panelists, I sense a theme that these two entrepreneurs are very good at bringing sort of the digital experience to the real world, the physical experience, right? So with esports, and like you said, Mario, a lot of them are virtual sports, and then with David's company, you guys have been experimenting with a lot. But then I guess gaming, a lot of times people perceive it as just being in your living room in front of a computer. But then how do you kind of merge those kind of experience of being out and about, bonding with the community, as well as actually being outside even, right? So maybe Mario, start with you.
Sure. So with the benefit of VR headsets coming out and AR headsets coming out, you're going to see VR, AR esports, which you actually have to sweat this time. You actually have to move your body in order to win or even participate at all, right? So what we see now are sort of mini arenas popping all over across our nation, even in shopping malls, kind of, where you can enjoy 5-6 minute game. Trust me, it gets really exhausting. You are completely wet after the game. So we actually brought in a game from Japan called Hado, where on one hand you can throw up a shield, on one hand you throw a ball, and we're creating an entire competitive league based on that. And the league is getting live streamed. You have professional players that dedicating a lot of their time into this sport. So this is only one title, right? So the major technology that we talk about here would be the VR and the AR headsets, right? But when you have the subsequent hardwares that come out, for example, the tiles on the floor, right? For example, the sort of sensory touch gloves that you see. When these become widely available, you would technically be able to have real-life CS with a high degree of accuracy that would then reflect what you were able to do on the computer. So I think that's where we're headed. So better hardware made by these guys are going to much better promote our industry going forward with new experiences.
Yeah, that's fantastic. What about David?
Yep. So let's talk about like the Apple Vision Pro for a little bit. Like I think I love the immersive experiences that as one of the Apple premium developer because Apple put us on stage in 2018 when iPhone XS actually reached breakthrough performance to process video in real time, track motion 30 frames a second. So our fundamental technology basically started in 2018 when Apple chip A12 Bionic actually reached their breakthrough performance to do that. In a, like at that time a highest end like phone chip, which is very, very powerful. So when Apple, announced the Vision Pro, and obviously we would, get a first-hand, look at that. I remember we need to, dedicated a run room in our office, close off all the windows, and then we have a developer basically, cannot see the light of the day and experience that and and it's like incredible technologies, but because we serve audience that as I said, my audience is like my younger daughter and my mom, and putting that things on doesn't feel right to me. So eventually, hey, thanks but no thanks. That's what we did. We seldom say no to Apple. Being a big Apple fanboy myself, is one of the we just stick to the mission and said no. And you have to think about playing games or playing real sports that you can go outdoor to play, but that is actually not always accessible. Outdoor can be too hot, too cold, too wet, sometimes too dangerous, and that's why how can bring those active outdoor experiences home or in a specific venue is great, and we want to kind of transform every living room into a playground where you can play sports, you can have fitness games. You can have family fun games, multiplayer family fun games in the living room. That's basically how we think about the next leap is transforming more spaces, be it living room, be it specific venues, into those immersive experiences. Of course, in a venue, then you can have all kinds of really great hardware that really tune up the immersiveness for those environments. At home, then you really did basically bring into how we can create affordable hardware that can deliver some of those experiences to you at home.
Yeah. Because both of you guys mentioned Apple Vision Pro, right? But then let's be real about it. A lot of the fans, bought them and also returned them. So I feel we are in a sort of first generation product phase, right? So insofar as realistically, where are we with VR? Insofar as the products of it, as well as if you want to jump into this business, what are some of the opportunities entrepreneurs should really take focus on?
If you're thinking about it as an entrepreneur in the business sense, I would say focus on making the right content, because what I remember when the first iPhone came out was subsequently the App Store. And the App Store essentially gave birth to 100 different unicorn companies because they were the first to the market. right? Especially game titles that were like Doodle Jump, right? The Subway Surfers, the Temple Runs. I mean, those remained even till this day to be some of the largest gaming companies in the world. So what we're going to see is a similar phase where I don't think as many people return the first iPhone as they do now with the Apple Vision Pro, but with Apple's capability in terms of rapid development and you know, product design, I'm sure they will get to a day where Apple Vision Pro does become more of a mainstream mass product to the population. And if you got a head start working now on the content, then I'm sure by that time you would be king of it. So that would be my advice. Not that I'm doing any of it. So I'm just going to take advantage of other people's great content and then turning them into great esport experiences for my fans.
Yeah. So content, right now, a lot of people are still saying that, Apple Vision Pro doesn't have enough content. What about David?
So the way that when I think about it is, if you want to envision a future where it feels more natural, it doesn't require I think Apple Vision Pro is a step towards an environment, a future where you can just put a screen in front of you, but without really blocking your vision, without like putting 2 pounds on your head, right? So this is like the vision that we are envisioning. But you can think about how we can simulate that as well for the audience that we are targeting, which is like the families and younger kids and adults. So my perspective, what would be the big screen environment is, well, in your living room, you have a pretty big screen, which is your TV. And can you now, with the camera tracking your eye, checking your location, and when you move, you feel like, oh, I actually have a window to a virtual world just in front of you, and there's a lot of experience we can create with it. Talk about I think go nostalgic a little bit. Foot Ninja, for example, is one of the games that's really enabled when the iPhone came out. Oh, now there's touch. I can basically play game with just using my finger, swiping the screen. But the best experience of Foot Ninja, if you can think about, okay, what is the ultimate form of Foot Ninja? You feel like, oh, I actually feel like I'm a ninja. I'm actually moving my hand, and that's like how the Vision Pro also bring in Foot Ninja, and the Kinect have it, the Meta Quest have it. It's really using your full body immersion. Basically, the more ultimate form of Foot Ninja is actually that. So we also got Foot Ninja onto the device. Actually, we're going to do a press release tonight of announcing our whole slate of games, which we are going to announce 8 games, and 2 games with Hasbro, 2 games Sesame Street, and Foot Ninja also one of them coming to the platform. So always think about when there's a content experience, what would be the ultimate form of the experience? And trying to use the latest technology to unlock that ultimate form would be where it would be.
Wow, yeah, that's something very exciting to look forward to for sure for Ninja. But then really enable you to use your full body. But with Apple Vision Pro though, I guess the fundamental question is that do we believe in this form factor?
Do we believe in what?
Do we believe in this form factor at the end of the day? Is VR the way to go?
I think it'll take some time. If you ask me in terms of the future of gaming, which is the topic of today, ultimately, I think with the better hardware experiences, you will end up being so completely immersive. We're talking about Ready Player One stuff. At that point, absolutely. But how many years is it going to take us to get there? I don't know, probably 10, 20 years.
Right, yeah.
Yep.
What about David?
Well, just always take a step towards the right direction, and you may be sometimes a little bit ahead of the future, or you would just wait for the future to come, but envisioning what's the ultimate form of those experiences and taking steps towards that would be, I think, the direction that entrepreneurs should do.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Because I feel like VR has been sort of the ultimate form factor that everybody envisioned, and then I guess there's still steps leading up to it.
So yeah, we talked about some of the key technologies. AI and VR are the obvious ones. But are there any other sort of technologies that you guys are paying attention to right now? That will change gaming, esports, and how we interact with online entertainment.
So when we think about it, it's we would look into the when the hardware leap would happen. Right, so we are more in the living room entertainment space, and if you look into the development of the chipset for those living room devices, and majority of those chips is still on 12 nanometer. So typically, like a set-top box or TV SoC lag behind mobile 6 to 8 years. It's like my accounting. So Apple have A12 Bionics is 2018. It's basically when like the Edge AI become possible. So we work on Edge AI. We use the AI to analyze video, basically everything happening on the chip itself. Back to 2018 is on the phone, and now it's on this device. And the next generation of that will be 6 nanometer for the chip. And basically now what that trend enables is in the next generation TV and set-top box chip, which next playground use one of them. And then it will basically enable more AI happening on the edge. And when this can run AI at the edge, then basically what we can do, what kind of application it can unlock. When your TV and when your set-top box or when device like next playground can understand your motion, understand you, really at the edge, don't require cloud processing, right? Cloud processing is always there, right? But sending a lot of data to the cloud is also pretty expensive as well. So if the input in being well understood by an edge device like this, what kind of experience we can create? What would be the next leap of application that would be enabled in the living room? As I said, what next after living room have been pretty stale for a set-top box or your TV, it's only streaming and 4K, and then what next? What would be the next leap of major innovations? And AI on the edge basically unlock a lot of new input that can be possible for the devices. And when that happens, will be all kinds of new application and turning your TV what I call a 65-inch iPad. And what a 65-inch iPad can do would be a good topic that we are trying to address with creating a lot of content for that devices.
Yeah, because I remember was it Copilot Plus PCs. Edge AI has sent the PC stocks just on a tear the past couple of days because of that. But Edge AI certainly very interesting. What about Mario? Any sort of interesting disruptive technologies you're paying attention to?
So I think in terms of sports analytics, there's going to be breakthrough because of AI. So I'm actually really excited because if you think about what goes into the work of current professional gamers, where they prepare for matches, every single different gamer, like a normal sports star, would have a different style of play. And then when you go against one team versus another, there are different strategies to be used. So at the same time, because of all these different characters that are in different games, the combinations of different characters, and as I'm sure you know, even the combination of certain different moves at a different timing could produce some great combos. Now, when to use those? Against which players? What kind of style? Could you even practice that kind of thing right now in your own training scheme? So in our academy, in our training camps for our esports teams, we can't wait to be able to use AI to actually be able to have 5 bots that mimics the opponent that you're actually going to play this weekend and to be able to test out different strategies. And whenever a new version of a game comes out where certain characters' abilities are actually going to change, right? Some heroes are going to be buffed, some heroes are going to be nerfed. Right now, you actually need physical coaches to figure out the best combinations. Well, with AI, I'm pretty sure it's just going to take 5 minutes. So it's going to make sport analytics very, very fun. In traditional sports world right now, I know the application is much more advanced already. So we're lagging a little bit behind in the gaming world, but I'm sure we're going to get there pretty soon.
Interesting, because I thought esports would be very digital from the very beginning, right? But then why are we actually lagging behind traditional sports insofar as deploying those analytic tools?
The application of it. So I think sports science has always been a thing. Sports science is taught in universities. It's applied in the NBA teams, and you have medical staff. However, in the esports world, these things, because the whole industry took place too quickly almost. So we overlooked a lot of, in terms of health sciences of players, application of what is applicable in sports sciences. So I think, honestly speaking, the experience, the viewership, the commercialization, the offline events, all these things have caught up already. But what I talked about is still lacking there.
Yeah. I think, I remember people also talked about how esports, the viewing experience can be, really supercharged, turbocharged by AI, right? Because essentially you can see so many different angles, with broadcasting and all that, kind of tailor made and feed straight into your user experience, right? So I think maybe that's also an aspect where AI can come into play.
No, absolutely, because right now it's manual. When you see a certain highlight done by, let's say, Faker at the MSI, the person physically drags his mouse across to turn that angle to show you that move, right? But in the future, that could be personalized. Just like how the NBA now offers personalized experiences. You can sit courtside on VR, watch the team, listen to the podcast of the team that you like. I think that would be the same.
Right. So David's also was your major name with sports vision and that interactive experience, right? So with analytics and just kind of better tools for players, what do you see where the trends are?
So the Knicks started by building a basketball training app. So we actually, yes, NBA actually is an investor when we created an app called Home Court. So we went on Apple Stage 2018 to basically demonstrate that. So we are actually pretty early on using AI to actually train real athletes. And to train real athletes, basically we talk about more like deliberate training, meaning that when we create a home court app, we set up a phone at the side of the court. The phone see the whole basketball court, tracking the players, tracking the ball, understanding the scene, and every shot that player take, we give you real-time feedback of your angle of your shot, of how high you jump, of how fast you move.
Wow.
So that basically is how we using AI understand motion and give real-time feedback so that every shot you take, how I can adjust the next shot you take. So we actually get, somebody from the esports world to get in touch with us. How can I apply that to actually create training tools for players? And how they can basically using that to do like deliberate practice. Because do deliberate practice meaning that I need to be really consistent in doing certain thing, and the consistency would basically yield better results. So that's basically how we did in the real sports world using AI as a tool. In back in the days, basically using an app running on your phone to do that. And we actually now convert a lot of those like concept onto the TV space where we just give instruction to train like reaction time for kids and get them to be more confident about develop an interest in sports. So we have our tennis game in it where it track your both hand. You would basically if you're using your left hand to hold a racket, right hand to hold the ball, and just really help you develop an interest in sport. So when we are in the professional athlete, target audience professional athlete, we invent home court app, then it's more deliberate practice. When we are doing a younger audience, it's really about developing the interest in sports by creating fun experiences, so get them into it, help them build more confidence, and then hand them over to real sports because I can play tennis in my living room in front of a screen, and then they develop where should I go out and then play for real? And once they develop interest, that become a easier step to take when you actually go in the real tennis court and play tennis. So I think using the AI basically is something that's on the younger side develop interest when they are becoming more serious about the sports. How the AI can help them train. If they play esports, how we can basically help them practice. And I totally agree that the coaching, the esports and real sports kind of the same. You still need to kind of do a lot of practice. You still need a lot of training. You still need to eat well, sleep well, to perform better. So we're pretty excited about the role that we can play, in different stage of the players.
Right. Because I'm a huge basketball fan. I'm a huge esports fan. Gaming fanatic as well. So that's why I'm very excited to have the conversation with these guys. Because if you guys use the home court app, it's eerily accurate. You just kind of put it there, and then through various unthinkable angle, it can still track where you are on the field, on the court, and then your misses and your mates and all. So yeah, definitely check out next products. And so my next question is about Asia, right? Because we now locate in Asia. the Beyond conference, Beyond Expo wouldn't be the same without talking about Asia. So in sports and esports, Asia has its own sort of market, has its own unique characteristics. What are some of these kind of unique characteristics that distinguish this market from the rest of the world?
Well, I think firstly, talk about the sheer size, right? I think in China we have 480 million esport fans. I mean, that in itself is bigger than the population of the US, right? And what is the most important element in sports? One is monetization. The other one is viewership, right? So in our minds right now, right, you have a ladder of what are the most viewed sports in the world and where those countries are. And I can tell you with confidence that I think the Asian esports market is already top of the world, especially for our nation. We are the largest esports market in the world. Now, I think that is the best unique characteristic because what drives monetization is fan counts, right? Ultimately, you are competing against all of those teams in terms of the fans you have. I checked yesterday, and I kid you not, I think our team in Wuhan has more fans than the Timberwolves.
Oh, wow.
That doesn't make a lot of sense if you think about it, right?
Yeah.
But it's because of the sheer size, that's the characteristic advantage that we have. However, despite that being a strength, our monetization hasn't actually caught up yet. So there's nothing we can do to compare, as of now, the sort of revenue that is generated by that league and compared to, let's say, the League of Legends League. But then again, those have been around for 70 plus years, and we're just crossing the 10th year. So I think viewership, we're on par, if not above. Monetization was slightly below.
Yeah, but that gap is actually the opportunity, right? Of course. Yeah. Also, because with esports, in Asia, we actually have a whole lot more female viewers. Compared to say the North American market as well as Europe and all that. Is that an interesting thing that you guys trying to capitalize on?
Well, I wouldn't say we're trying to capitalize on female viewers. That would be a weird thing to say, but no. But I do see that about over 60 to 70% of the viewers that come to our offline games are actually females, and in 普通话 we say 冲动消费, right? Which is very similar to what you see in the entertainment space, right? I really like this idol-looking guy, and I go and actually buy the items and merchandises that's tied to his IP. So definitely, I think a lot of esport teams are manufacturing their players in that sense. So in terms of styling, in terms of hair, makeup, their collaborations with fashion magazines, I think it's a good idea to push them towards having a more entertainment-focused IP so that the longevity of their IP can be monetized further. So yeah, I guess we are capitalizing on them.
Yeah, because also was it sponsorship opportunities also kind of opened up a whole new different front, right? But what about David? What do you see? What's the strength in Asia?
Yeah, I have like some real data to share on my side as well. It definitely resonate with what Mario said. So before we actually built hardware, we were shipping like mobile motion games for a few years, and it went viral in the pandemic, particular. People locked at home and then nothing to do, kind of get active, and like we have millions of download, over 100 million play sessions very quickly. It's like in Asia, that like the good ideas spread really quickly because of like just the sheer size of the audience, and with TikTok, with with IG, there's like good ideas spread really quickly. Oh, that you're doing this, I want to do that too, and then everybody just go download the app and then play the games and all that. And then monetization is also a problem. So when the app is free, then everybody get download and give it a try. And when we start basically trying to get into, hey, when we create Playground, we also thought that our biggest audience probably in Asia, right? So and then we try to sell in Taiwan, Hong Kong, and US, and we see we'll pick up first, and very quickly, then US just hands down win the whole thing, and okay, well, it's like we sell a lot there. And we actually stop selling in Hong Kong and Taiwan, just focus on the US market. And we talk about female audience. This is actually designed by a mom. So
Wow.
we have a woman-led industrial design studio design this, and the main audience actually also women. So women basically buying it for their family, for their kids, and create those occasions to bring family together, right? So we actually see that the monetization is at the moment is a lot better in the US in the Western market right now, and we will hopefully kind of bring it to the right price point, like sell a lot in Asia as well. But when we get started, and still the monetization actually a lot easier in the US, that people can okay, well I like the product, and put up the money to buy it.
How much is it?
$199 for the hardware with 4 games included. And then if you want access to all the games, then it will be another subscription of $89 a year, US dollars.
That's fantastic. That's a fantastic finish to our panel discussion today. Thank you so much, Mario and David, for joining us on this panel. Yeah, so the future of gaming is looking bright. With AI, it's going to be something unimaginable before. I think that's what Sam Altman said a couple months ago. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.